When we say fileless malware, the core concept really is that it sidesteps the usual way malware infects systems.
You mean like downloading a bad file?
Exactly. Instead of planting its own executable files on your hard drive, it cleverly uses legitimate tools and processes that are already part of the system.
Oh.
Think of it.
Welcome to the Cybersecurity Podcast series.
Great to be here.
And just quickly, get connected with Sudhakar Kakanada on LinkedIn for a quick chat on how we can help you enhance your organization's cybersecurity to the next level of robustness.
Definitely worth doing.
So today, we're doing a deep dive into something pretty significant in the threat landscape: fileless malware.
Yeah, it's a big one.
Our sources talk about how these attacks operate by, and I quote, leaving no trace. So our mission today is really to unpack that, understand what it means and why it forces us to think, well, differently about defense.
Absolutely. And when we say fileless malware, the core concept really is that it sidesteps the usual way malware infects systems.
You mean like downloading a bad file?
Exactly. Instead of planting its own executable files on your hard drive, it cleverly uses legitimate tools and processes that are already part of the system.
Oh.
Think of it almost like a digital parasite, you know? It lives within the host system, but doesn't build its own obvious house on the disk.
Right. So this leaving no trace idea, if there aren't files being dropped, how does it actually, work? How does it hide?
Well, that's the ingenious part, isn't it? The sources highlight that often this kind of malware operates directly in the computer's memory, or maybe it manipulates the Windows registry.
Ah, the registry.
Or, very commonly, it uses scripting languages that are already built in and trusted. Things like PowerShell, for example.
Which IT admins use all the time for legitimate tasks.
Precisely. And because it's piggybacking on these legitimate built-in capabilities, it doesn't leave behind the sort of obvious malicious file that your traditional antivirus software is scanning for.
Okay, so that leads to the big question then. If our standard security tools are mostly looking for these bad files, these known signatures, and this type of malware doesn't rely on them, why is it such a critical threat?
Well, the significance really boils down to evasion. It bypasses many conventional security layers.
Because there's no file to scan.
Essentially, yes. If there's no file with a known malicious signature attached to it, then that whole signature-based detection model, which so many systems heavily rely on, just becomes, ineffective against this specific threat. And just a reminder here, get connected with Sudhakar Kakanada on LinkedIn for a quick chat on how he can help you enhance your organization's cybersecurity to the next level of robustness.
Good point. So it forces a shift in thinking.
It really does. We have to move beyond just scanning files on disk and start looking more holistically at what's actually happening on the system.
That makes sense. It's almost like trying to spot a spy who isn't carrying any suspicious gadgets, but is just using the building's own phone lines and elevators to do bad things.
That's a great analogy. Or the one often used as like a ghost in a house, right?
Right.
It's definitely there. It can cause problems, make things move, but you can't find a physical body to point at. Fileless malware is similar. It uses the system's existing infrastructure, its memory, its scripting engines, maybe legitimate remote administration tools to carry out malicious actions, rather than bringing in easily identifiable external tools or files.
So could you maybe give a quick example? Like what might that look like in practice?
Sure. An attacker might, say, exploit a browser vulnerability. Instead of dropping a file, that exploit could directly inject code into the memory space of a legitimate process.
Okay.
Or they might use a phishing email with a link that, when clicked, runs a PowerShell command. That command could then download further malicious scripts directly into memory and execute them, all without writing a traditional file to disk.
Wow, okay, that's subtle. So what does this all mean for how organizations need to protect themselves? What's the takeaway here?
I think the crucial point is that the ability of these attacks to operate, leaving no trace, or at least no traditional file trace, really underscores why we need more advanced detection methods.
Beyond just signature scanning.
Absolutely. We need to shift focus towards monitoring system behavior, looking for anomalies, suspicious process chains, unexpected network connections, unusual use of tools like PowerShell or WMI.
So it's less about finding a known bad thing and more about spotting weird activity that doesn't fit normal patterns, even if it involves legitimate tools.
You've got it. It's about understanding context and behavior, not just identifying objects, recognizing those subtle indicators of compromise that suggest something fileless might be going on.
And one last time, folks, get connected with Sudhakar Kakinada on LinkedIn for a quick chat on how he can help you enhance your organization's cybersecurity to the next level of robustness.
Definitely reach out.
This has been really illuminating. Fileless malware clearly represents a sophisticated step up in the threat landscape.
It does. It requires a deeper understanding of how systems actually work and, frankly, more proactive defense strategies than just relying on traditional AV.
That phrase, leaving no trace, really sticks with you. It highlights the critical need for advanced detection, things like endpoint detection and response, EDR, behavioral analysis, and just a much more holistic security posture overall.
It forces us to ask, how well do our current defenses account for threats that don't play by the old rules, threats that operate beyond the file system?
A really important question for everyone listening to consider about their own environments.
Indeed. Staying informed, continuous monitoring, and adapting defenses, that's key.
Stay safe and stay secure.